Good evening and welcome to the Hindu Digest. Today, let us examine a subject which is very important because we often hear the political leaders say, and also several intellectuals, most people say, all religions are same. We also want to accept it, but unfortunately, we find that that statement is actually hurting us. Hurting us means not mentally, but physically also. Physically, it is very, very dangerous to accept it, very dangerous for the Indian religions to accept it. But then the politicians say it for their own reasons, the politicians' reasons. Of course, we can understand them because they want the votes of all the people. And probably they also want that by saying that they ensure some peace. They ensure some peace for the time being. I'm emphasizing the word for the time being. So they may or may not be aware that for the time being there is peace, but in the long run there won't be any peace. We don't know whether they accept it or not, they understand it or not. But then the politicians say that. The intellectuals, we can't call them fools. We can't call them fools. They do probably know, and they have got their own reasons. They have got their own reasons to say that, oh, all religions are same. That is what they say. Because by saying that, they enter a very great elite circle, and then they are accepted by the intellectual community. They are accepted by the Western intellectuals also. Probably the people are called to some Western universities. They are given some scholarships, or they are given some awards or whatever, and probably they will also get some funds. The intellectuals they have got their own reason to appear very, and also it gives them a sort of satisfaction. Yeah, we are very liberal. We are very liberal. We are accepting everybody. So let us see what it is. And then these people, they have got a holier than thou attitude also. The intellectuals, they get a holier than thou attitude. Yes, we are very great, and then we accept all religions. And they are very happy in that by looking down on others, gives them a sense of a sort of moral superiority or moral high ground. So that is why the intellectuals accept it. But unfortunately, as I said, we have to see what is the reality. And let us see the major religions. There are hundreds of religions all over the world, but we have to see the major religions and what exactly are the clashes among the major religions. So if we see religion, basically religion, what exactly is a religion? It has basically it has two aspects in it. One is the ethical aspect, the ethical guidance which a religion gives to the human being. So you have to be like this, you don't do this, don't do this, some 10 commandments, and then be charitable, be kind, and then probably non-violence also is told in other religions also to some extent. But in the Indian religions, that is the highest, ahimsa or non-violence, that is the highest ethical point which is told. And so that is how one aspect is the ethical aspect. The second is the theological or religious, not religious, theological or philosophical foundation for that religion. Because religion has to rest on some foundation. It has to draw authority from somebody. It has to draw authority that, yes, this is something told by God. So that sort of authority has to be there. Otherwise, people will not accept. Particularly in olden days, people could not accept it unless it was an authority from the government, from the God. So they had to claim some authority. So religion claims authority from from God. So that is how they say, yes, God has told this. You don't do this. You don't do that. Don't do that. If you do this, it is sin. You will go to hell, and then things like that. So let us see the Indic religions and the Abrahamic religions on the other side. Indic religions on one side and Abrahamic religions on the other side. By Abrahamic religions, I am referring to only two main religions, that is Christianity and Islam. Though Judaism also is an Abrahamic religion, they are not posing great danger to Hinduism now. They are not posing any great danger to us, so I am not counting them. In fact, they were also the highly persecuted people. Jews were highly persecuted people. So Hinduism and on the other hand, these two are the Abrahamic religions, that is the Christianity and Islam. By Indic religions, I am referring to four religions, that is Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and the very latest entrant, that is Sikhism. Sikhism, of course, it originated at a war time, at at a time when Hinduism was totally in self-defense, and then it was actually fighting for survival. At that time, Sikhism came and fought on behalf of Hinduism. So that is what we see in history. So these four religions I count, say in the on one side, and the other two religions on the other side. So if we see what exactly are the basic differences, because when we say all religions are same, we have to exactly see what exactly they say and how exactly they want peace in the world, how they want to establish peace in the world. So my way of establishing peace in the world is different from your way of establishing peace in the world. So that is what we have to see. So the Indic religions are, in fact, Asian religions in general. We have to we can include even the Chinese, Southeast Asian religions, and then Chinese, whatever was say home religions for China, that is Confucianism and Taoism, and Zen Buddhism. Again, it has gone from India only. So these religions also, which dominated the entire Southeast Asia, all these religions, they are based not on some religious authority. It is not based on some religious somebody. It does not say that yes, God has commanded like this, God has sent somebody like this, he has sent some messenger, he has sent somebody, and then he has conveyed his orders through the messenger, etc. They don't say. Confucianism or Taoism, they're based on philosophical thought. Hinduism, if we see, we do have Puranas. Of course, Puranas say yes, there is a one Vishnu, and then who is there in the Kshira Sagara, and then from his navel one lotus came forth, and then in that lotus Lord Brahma sat. All these are stories which are told to the common man, and that too in a symbolic manner. Basically, philosophy which is translated as a story. Philosophy translated into a story and shown as a sort of mythology. That, of course, I'll tell later at some point of time. But Indic religions, they are based on the philosophical thought of the Vedas. The Vedas, of course, they cater to all levels of people. And the final word of the Veda is what is called the Vedanta. Veda Anta. That is the final word of the Vedas. The final word of the Vedas, it is basically a philosophical thought. It does not say, yes, this is the order from the God, you have to obey, etc. There are debates. If you see the Upanishads, particularly Upanishads like Brihadaranyaka and Chandogya, etc., there are debates. In the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, there is a quote of King Janaka, in which all the sages, all these rishis means, if you want to use a modern word, you can call them all the thinkers of that time, all the philosophers of that time. They went and then they debated. What is the nature of reality? Is God, what is God? What is the highest reality? The entire Brihadaranyaka Upanishad is a series of debates with so many people, Yajnavalkya representing the main philosophical thought of Vedanta, and various other people questioning, getting convinced, and some people they argue, debate. So all these debates are there. Debate is the essential foundation for Hindu thought. That is what we have to see. Most of us we don't understand. I also never understood till I read the Upanishads. Luckily, it was a very great fortune that I somehow entered this particular field and then studied Upanishads. So, in fact, my PhD also is on the Upanishads. So, if you read the Upanishads, you will be astounded. You will be astounded to see that God is not some person. Whereas religions say, the Abrahamic religions say, yes, there is a God who is there. There is a place called heaven, and in that heaven, that God sits, and then that God, there is also an opponent to that God, say some name, a person named Satan, and God sends these people, his messengers on earth. And how did God create the universe? He got an idea to create the universe, and he created the universe, and that too, the date also is given, some 4004 BC. And the God created Adam and Eve. And initially, he created only man and pulled out one rib from the left rib of the man and then breathed life into that and then created the woman. So, this is what the religion literally believes. Believing literally is one thing, and some story told to a common man is different. Purana is a story told to a common man. Philosophy is for the thinker. So, but then in the Abrahamic religions, both for the thinker and for the common man, there is only one message that is conveyed, and they have to jolly well believe in that. God created in 4004 BC, and also He has given a mandate. Yes, you have to go and convert all other people. You have to go and convert all other people in the world into this religion. And unfortunately, God told this not to one person, but also to two people. It seems he told Christ also. He also told Prophet Muhammad, and then so both of them, they thought, yes, God has asked us to convert the whole world into our religion. So unfortunately, they also started quarreling. They started quarreling, and we know that great crusades took place, and then millions of maybe may not be millions. I don't know the number. Several people got killed, and of course, millions of people were killed in other places. In the name of God, millions of people were killed, and various other native religions were uprooted in the name of God. All these things has taken place. Whereas if we see Hinduism, there is no such mandate because we don't call that person we don't call the supreme reality as a God sitting in heaven. We call it as one supreme reality, which is of the nature of consciousness. It is of the nature of only the reality, the highest reality is what is called consciousness, and that consciousness is appearing as the whole universe. That is the philosophy, that is one school of philosophy, that is the non dual system of philosophy, which says, yes, consciousness is appearing as this material universe. Another system says we all have different systems. Though the Vedanta is common to all. Vedanta is accepted by the non-dualists, dualists, and qualified non-dualism, which is called Visishtadvaita. These three are the major schools. So non-dual school says yes, the consciousness is appearing as matter. And the other school, the second school, that is the qualified non-dualism says no, no, there is material, that is matter, and also mind, that is intelligence and matter. Both are there. But then these two are both in one personality, one person in the personality of God, they say. And the other school also is there that is called Advaita, the dualist school, which says, no, 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 God is something different. And human beings are different souls are also different. And then matter is different, mind is different. And then it is almost close to the Western religions. But then there is no mandate to convert people. There is no mandate to convert people. Under the same philosophical thought, it is interpreted in different ways. We have been arguing, debating, even now philosophical debates take place. For centuries and centuries, philosophical debates have taken place, but we never killed each other. So that is what Hinduism is. And because there is no mandate for converting people, there was absolutely no aggression on anybody. If you see the entire history, there is absolutely no aggression on anybody. But at the same time, we have allowed all those people. All the allowed means, in a sense, accepted also, not as final truth, but as tentatively, yes, you are worshipping some god. You worship it. You worship it, and that is again a means for self purification. That is giving you some self purification. You please for all whatever you want, you worship it. So there is liberalism, there is acceptance. We have accepted all the people, and not as final word, not as the final truth. Final truth again it has to be argued, and then we have to reason out. Because this philosophy, Vedanta, is something which is based on philosophical thought, philosophical arguments. Because if you start reading Vedanta, the first thing we have to read is where this logic. There is a book called Tarka Sangraha or Tarka Bhasha. Tarka is logic. If you want to read some other religion, there is no need for Tarka. If you are reading Bible or Quran, you are not asked to read Tarka. You are only asked straight away, you go into the text, straight away you go into some other secondary books. But then here, if you are reading Vedanta, you have to read Tarka. You have to read Vyakarna. You have to read, of course, Vyakarna is basically to interpret. How exactly you have to interpret without knowing Vyakarna or grammar, you may not be knowing how to interpret those lines. What sort of meaning has to be derived. And then logic. Logic is very, very essential. So this is how logical reasoning is the basis for the Indic religions. Whereas belief system, yes, God has told this, you have to jolly well follow it. God has actually, and He has asked us or directed us to convert the whole universe into ours. So it is our duty to convert all the people, and by various means, depending on the situation. Depending on the situation, they actually they used violence. Depending on the situation, they used other methods, some deceitful methods. Depending on the situation. Now, of course, if we see in India, they are using the method of distorting our text, and then propaganda, basically propaganda, attacking our Puranas, and basically exploiting our ignorance about what exactly our religion is. I say our ignorance, very, very, it is an important point, because till I read the Gita, say maybe I was in my 30s or late 30s. Till that time, I never knew what exactly the fundamental, what are the fundamentals of Hinduism. I never knew. I also thought, okay, we have got so many gods. We are all polytheists. On the face of it, we look like polytheists, appearing, worshipping so many gods and worshipping stones and worshipping idols and whatnot. But if you see the philosophical thought, if you see the basic, the Vedanta, it has allowed various traditions. It has allowed various traditions to coexist because people are in different levels. People are in different stages. Not only that, they are also useful for meditation. They are also useful for contemplation. If you are allowing a particular tradition, for example, Vishnu or Shiva or Shakti or Ganesha or Muruga, whatever, then you are allowing those people to follow that peacefully, and then gradually come up to the level of Upanishads, because Upanishads are accepted by all those people. The person who is in Ganesha tradition, he also accepts Upanishads. Person who is in Shiva tradition, he also accepts Upanishads. So Upanishads are the basic books which are accepted by all these people. So Upanishads, in fact, it maintained peace in the entire Indian subcontinent. You may say, okay, there were at some point of time the Vaishnavas and the Shaivas, they quarrel. That is because of ignorance. That is, by that time, maybe 15th, 16th centuries, by the time when they started fighting, 17th, 18th century, 17th century or so, the influence of Upanishads, the thought, that in the Upanishadic thought, it had become weak. So that is the reason why the kings, particularly the kings and also the Brahmins who had also given a go by to the philosophical thought, they influenced the kings, and then the kings also, they have got their own reasons. So they fought. That is how it was. But now, of course, nobody is fighting. No Vaishnava is fighting. No, I mean, any Shaivite. They may be worshipping, somebody may be worshipping Vishnu, somebody may be worshipping Shiva, but nobody is fighting. So, but then in the Abrahamic religions, there is a mandate to convert all the people by any means. So these are certain basic things. One more very important thing we see is as I said, philosophical thought is based on the subjects like epistemology and ontology. There is an epistemological reasoning. Epistemology is how exactly we are getting, how exactly do we get our knowledge? What are the sources of our knowledge? What are the means of our knowledge? There should be valid means of knowledge. There should not be some invalid means of knowledge. Somebody says, yes, you have to jolly well believe. It cannot be the means of knowledge. You have to think out, you have to see, you have to, if not see, you have to think with your mind, and then you have to accept it. So this is one thing. Ontology is another point. Ontology is the degree of reality. This question comes because when we say that consciousness is appearing as matter, which is real, is consciousness real? And what is the degree of reality of this universe which we are seeing? So these are questions. In fact, even the modern science also is grappling with this question. The world which we see, is it real or unreal? So these are the levels. These are with such open mind, and with such reasoning mind, the Upanishads, they go about to understand the nature of reality. So this is what we have to see when we think about when we say all religions are same. We have no problem to say, but then unfortunately, some people are beating us. Some people are trying to uproot us. Some people are saying that, yes, this religion, this is a brutal religion. This has to disappear from the face of the earth. And then they use all means to say find fault with the Indic religions. Mainly, I am talking about Hinduism, because if Hinduism is wiped out, all other religions automatically get wiped out, whether it is Buddhism or Jainism or Sikhism. Unfortunately, Sikhs are already brainwashed to think that they are different from the Hindu thought. If they really read their own Mola Mantra, and if they really read their own book properly, they will find there is absolutely no difference from the Upanishadic thought and their religion. Of course, that's a different question. I'll speak on that on some other time. But this is what we have to see. Educated people, we should not be confused. We do accept all of the people. We don't hate anybody. But then somebody is hating us. Somebody is trying to uproot us, kick us, take away our belongings or property or women or whatever. So if that is the proclaimed objective, of other religions, we should also know. If we don't know, we will perish. That is all. It is as simple as that. So kindly, all educated people, we have to be aware. We have to be aware of the dangers. We have to read our books, first of all. We have to read our books. There are so many people who are teaching Upanishads, for example, people like some Ramakrishna Mission or Chinmaya Mission. For example, a Swami like Sarva Priyananda sitting in America, he is teaching Upanishads. So we have to know what exactly is our doctrine. And we should also know the other doctrines. We should also read the Bible. We should also read the Quran. We have to see the good things. What are the dangerous things to us? We have to see, and then we have to understand. Unless we understand, we cannot survive. We have to not only read, we should also propagate. So that is what I wish to say today. Thank you.